my mom started going to a little Pentecostal church after that, that wasn't too far from where we were. And at that Pentecostal church, they started casting the devil out.
Of
And
her?
that was interesting. Yes, they were casting
Okay.
demons out. And the
Right.
churches that I had been to with my families were not churches where they did stuff like that. They were just churches where they sing hymns, praise God from whom all blessings flow. Like just very boring, mind numbingly painful stuff. But this church was theatrical, and people were crying and wailing and falling over the floor. And then my mom was like huckabucking, which is what we call it, and just jerking and stuff. And like it was obviously like a devil was coming out of her from a kid's point of view, and that's what the preacher is saying is happening. And I have no reason to believe that the preacher is lying. And I'm thinking like, oh, that explains everything.
Hmm.
This is why she's not been a good parent. It was the
Hmm.
devils. And now
Hmm.
this preacher is getting rid of the devils. And so I'm like, okay, so maybe this God that I've read about in the Bible, maybe I misunderstood some things. This because they're showing me this version of an active God who has the ability to possibly make my mother a better person. And coupled with this event, they're preaching about, you need to serve the Lord and the Lord will make this type of ability available to you. And I can imagine I was thinking, well, surely I want this ability just in case the devils ever come back. Maybe I can cast them out the next time myself. And we can, be a happy family. So I got saved shortly after that and decided to, like, man, if this God will save my mom, then maybe this God is worth knowing. And so interestingly enough, the night I got saved, my mom kicked me out of, or the day after, the morning after, she kicked me out of the house. Um, Long story short, it was you will either serve me or you will serve the church. And I said, well, I'm gonna serve the church because at this moment, as a new believer, new Christian, I'm feeling like this is a test. Like this is God
Hmm.
testing my faith to make sure my salvation stuck. And so I said, I'm gonna serve the church. And so she kicked my ass out. And
What perfect wording as well, because like that, you serve me also the church. It's like it's so biblical, It's like it's so.
right,
It just
yes.
sounds like a test from God, right? Like if you said, "Do what I say," or "I don't want you living with me," that
You know what I'm
makes
saying?
sense. But if it served me also, like that's crazy.
I told you my life has been like a movie. Like
Yeah.
it's like yikes. And interestingly enough, though, that kind of for me at the time, it emboldened my new faith. Because it helped me identify with the disciples, and particularly the Apostle Paul, who, who's rejected by everybody. And it's like, oh,
Probably for good
God,
reason.
yeah, like, yeah,
For Paul, in Paul's instance, like he was a bit of a dick. Let's be real.
yeah, it was. But I felt special in that moment. Like even while feeling rejected, I felt special. But that's kind of the message of the gospel, is that persecuted, not abandoned, rejected, but not. I can't even remember all the words, but it's in castrating my sorrows. I remember it because I sang it a lot. But it's just this idea that you almost get like a divine high from being persecuted or from being rejected for Christ's sake. You feel even more connected to this idea of Christ, and you think, surely, if I'm experiencing this, then God must have his hands on me. And when I think about a lot of the language of the sermons that I was surrounded by, that was the language. And I don't think any of those preachers ever knew that there was going to be some 12-year-old kid who was thinking about those scriptures while, being homeless after being kicked out by his mom. And I'd hope if they would have known that they would think twice about, maybe the stuff that sounds inspirational isn't always healthy.